Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am Gebo the Shaman, and today we are talking about my experiences of CE-5 meditations, and everything that entails, which is a lot. So I guess how it all started was, well, first of all, I'll kind of lay the groundwork for you. If you don't know who Dr. Stephen Greer is, he is I don't know his full background, it's kind of a long story, but anyway, essentially he is someone who is involved in the disclosure movement. He was a top-level doctor and worked for, in government and worked with government, stuff like that. Anyway, he ended up getting involved in this disclosure movement. And disclosure is essentially that the government is working with, designing, reverse engineering, interdimensional spacecraft, otherwise known as UFOs or UAPs. And essentially it's like a long story. Like, there's a lot of background that you would need to get into that, but anyway, I would highly recommend everyone watch Dr. Stephen Greer's documentaries, Serious Disclosure, CE-5, or Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind. I think he has several documentaries, and one is coming out very soon. He's also having a event on July, I think it's July 12th, at the National Press Club, where he will be disclosing, he will be disclosing all the evidence that they have for extraterrestrial, interdimensional beings and the technology that we're taking advantage of from them. So anyway, there's a lot of background and assumptions and things like that we need to get into, but I'm just going to kind of lay the groundwork as best as I can. So how I got into this was, this CE-5. So what is CE-5? It's essentially a close encounter of the fifth kind. It's essentially human-initiated contact with extraterrestrials, with interdimensional beings. And that's another assumption that people have, another false assumption, which is that the assumption is that aliens or extraterrestrials or whatever are 3D beings, meaning that they have physical bodies. Well, in my experience, they are more of what's called interdimensional beings, meaning that they are 3D they may be 3D beings, but they can also morph into 5D beings, which is basically non-physical entities. Or when I say entities, I mean not evil or anything like that. They're just non-physical beings. And interdimensional beings, the only way that they can be non-physical is that they have their vibration is higher than ours. So we are at a lower frequency. So essentially the CE-5 meditation or CE-5, Close Encounters of the Fifth Kind, is essentially bridging the gap between us and them. It's us reaching out, trying to raise our vibration, and then them seeing that and interacting with us. So in my experience, there's different ways that people do this. A lot of people go out into the middle of the desert and they'll just meditate, and they'll like do what's called a vectoring, essentially. So they would basically bring their consciousness out, or like they would if they couldn't like bring their consciousness out, they would basically essentially visualize the Milky Way galaxy, and then they would zoom into our solar system, and then they would zoom into Earth, and then they would zoom into the continent that they're on, and the state that they're in, and the city, and all that, and the exact pinpoint location that they're in. That would vector interdimensional beings into their exact location. That is one way of doing it, and they would often look for spacecraft, or like lights in the sky, or other phenomena. So yeah, I, on the other hand, so that's one way of doing it. My way of doing it is I do Qigong, I do yoga, I do a meditation. So I'll do yoga in the morning, and then Qigong at night, and then I'll do, like, these are not like interconnected, but it does help. So the big thing for me is like the Qigong, because it gets me into that space where I can feel the energy and things like that. Anyway, what I will do is I'll do that, and then I'll do a interdimensional meditation, essentially taking my consciousness into, going to different places, different planets, and then asking these interdimensional beings if they would like to come back and meditate with me in my physical body. And throughout this entire process, I would have, hold on, let me just grab it just so you guys can see it. Alright guys, so I would have my, my ham radio with me. This is just a ham radio that I picked up off of Amazon. It's a Baofeng, and essentially you just turn it on.
Channel mode.
And you set it, I set it on my desk, and so if you want to really make sure that your experience is valid, and that you're not, making things up, or that other things are not stimulating this to make noise, just leave it on one channel for a day and see what happens. If nothing happens and you're going about your routine, and you just have it on while you're in the house for a day, then you know that the radio is pretty silent. There's nothing really going on that specific channel. Okay, that's great. That's great. That's a baseline. Okay, so then we have you actually doing the meditation, and what I do is I just leave this on my desk, and I would go into meditation, and the radio would essentially, whenever I would ask them, essentially to make contact with me by messing with my radio, and the radio would go, it would give me just like bursts of like static, and that cannot happen. If if somebody else like turns on and off the radio like that, like very quickly, it won't make that noise. The only way that I have seen that happen is by essentially, if you can see those little connects that's for the battery. Essentially, the way that they communicate with me is triggering those to make noise. So they would send electromagnetic energy into those, and it would make noise. So that's essentially what they're doing. That's the sign. And I do have a video of this on my other channel, which I'm not really using to make content. I just like posted a video there. I will probably post a video. Yeah, I'm gonna try to do that. I'm gonna post that video to this channel so that you guys can have an idea of what I'm talking about. But essentially, I was very, very skeptical of anything like this. Like, I didn't believe in aliens, extraterrestrials, anything like that. And I still have a very hard time believing it. But this is how they communicate with me to, manipulate something in 3D reality so that I'm aware that they are speaking to me. They're communicating with me. They are with me, which is it's a psychological transformation. Like, just the fact that you have something that's not of this earth communicating with you, that's a little scary. So, essentially how I learned about all this is through my teacher, and I had another experience where I was just like meditating and vectoring them in and asking them for a sign, and they got touched on the top of my head. Someone went boop, and even on my third eye too, like that. So yeah, anyway, but how I found out about all this was my spiritual teacher. He basically, found out about CE-5 meditation, and he did it, and he had an experience. He went to the beach, and he did it there, and he expected to see spacecraft and lights and things like that, but he didn't really find anything that he couldn't explain away. Oh, maybe it's a car light, maybe it's this or that. And then he recorded his session, and what came out of the recording was a voice. When he basically asked them, "Is anyone here with me?" He heard, or you could hear a voice on the recording saying yes, but he didn't hear that at the time. And then he said that he's feeling very scared right now, and he needs like some encouragement that he's worthy of the transmission of their presence, basically. And his ham radio basically went crazy with bursts of static and things like that. So yeah, it's really interesting to see this, and it's both interesting, fascinating, and scary as hell for me personally. Because it's like, okay, well, I don't know what, I don't know. It's like, I don't know what to would think it's like a big, you know, it's totally foreign, a totally foreign concept to me that we could communicate with interdimensional beings. And so, essentially what these beings do is they give us, when they find out that we are trying to reach out to them and to communicate with them and to just learn from them and have a relationship with them, what they do is they put energy into us. They put they'll either touch our top of our head, our third eye, or even our heart center. And essentially what they're doing is they're giving us Shaktipat. They're giving us an energy transmission that will help us to raise our frequency to a higher level so that we can interact with them better. Now, in the experiences that I had with them, it was easy for me to explain it away as, oh, my radio's going off. Does that mean that, somebody's trying to communicate on the radio, or, interference or something like that? And then, being touched on the head, and it was a definite touch. It wasn't like, like an itch or anything like that. It was pressure. A light, gentle pressure, but it was pressure. It was not anything that I was making up. So to have those experiences is just like, what the fuck? It's like so foreign to me that that those things could happen. That it's a paradigm shift. It's a new. I just don't know. It's so crazy to me. So yeah, there's a lot of feelings behind that, and my spiritual teacher, he's going through this transformation even before I am. Before I even started on this journey. His experience gave him TMS and frozen shoulder. TMS, if you don't know, is tension myositis syndrome. It's essentially when the brain shuts off circulation and causes inflammation to a body part. And so this was for his shoulder, so he had frozen shoulder. He got that for like 3 weeks, and he was able to work himself out of it. Just this whole process can be very traumatizing, but it's not. They are not evil in the slightest. It's our own unconscious. Like, we can't imagine that something like that exists, but it does, and it's scary as hell. Not because they're doing anything to us. It's just our own, our own conception of that, or like our own picture of that, I guess. Yeah. So anyway, guys, so yeah, this my teacher, by the way, has written 2 books. Yeah, I think it's 2 books, and one is called the Interdimensional Revolution by Michael William Denney, and the other is called Extraterrestrials Are Coming to Earth. Anyway, you look for Michael William Denney on Amazon, and his name will pop up, and his books. So yeah, it is a just like I can't put into words like what this experience has been like. It's crazy. I think I'm going crazy, but I know I'm not. Uh, it's just such an interesting experience. So yeah, if you can learn to just go with the flow and accept things as they are, like accept what's happening to you in the moment when you do those meditations and stuff, the better off we'll be. The better off you'll be, and just accepting things at face value and not putting any stock into them, just accepting things, whatever they tell you. And by the way, guys, it took me a long time to accept this, but the Earth is going to go through a massive transformation. And that transformation already started on December 2nd, 2022. Some people call this the solar shift, or solar flash, the solar wave, the event, different things. Essentially, they also call it the new Earth. And essentially what we're doing is we are moving from 3D up to 5D. So it is, it's going to be something that we have to get ourselves adjusted to and prepared for. So I would highly recommend that if you don't already, you start doing a spiritual practice. Now, whether that's, you could get my book, Tantric Secrets of Vedic Astrology. This has mantras in it, and essentially this has mantras in it, and you have to look at your own Vedic astrology chart, but essentially you can use what mantras I included to better help you to raise your energy to 5D. You can also do Qigong. Qigong, I have 2 Qigong courses. You can get them at gebo.shaman.com. 2 Qigong courses, they are taken from the Taoist Maoshan tradition, and essentially they are powerful tools for your ascension. They prepare your physical body for ascension. They prepare it, they get your energy, your baseline energy, to a higher frequency. That's what energy work does. It raises your frequency. And then we have the I also have a course that combines yoga and Qigong called the Self-Transformation Challenge. You can check that out. And it's like you can do it for 90 days and it'll totally change your life. I mean, it did for me, and I mean, there's hundreds of people that it changed their lives, so it's like a combination of Kundalini yoga and Qigong, so I'd highly recommend you checking out that. And then of course we have the distance energy healing that I do. It's basically me working with Qigong and shamanic practices to send that energy to you. Then we have the trauma healing course, also called the emotional awareness course, and that is great for, if you have any trauma, if you're constantly running away from your emotions or feelings and things like that. It's great to help like any kind of addiction or anything like that. We have rune readings, basically to help you understand what's going on in your current reality and what's going to happen in your future. But yeah, then we have the Astrology certification course. You can become a certified Vedic astrologer and get your own website. So that's a really good program there, of course. And then you can get my astrology readings by going to gebotheshaman.com. You can check those out there. And I do a very unique reading style, and it's basically based on things that are in the book. So if you want to get the book and get a reading, you'll have a very good knowledge of what's going on, what I'm talking about, and things like that. So anyway, guys, if you want to check out any of my services, then you can go to gebotheshaman.com. And yeah, we will see you then. And this shift to 5D is happening. It's unfolding, and the energy is only going to improve from here. So you might have seen that in like changes with the media, changes in society, changes in government, things like that. And I would also encourage you to check out Stephen Greer, his channel and his documentaries, and he's having an event in Washington, D.C. on the 12th that will be live streamed and simulcasted on YouTube, I think. So check that out. Alright, so that's it, guys. So thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next time. Peace.